Welcome back to Story Behind the Story. I'm your host, Angela Luna. We're here live in the Student Union. It's Student Media Day, and we have Missourian reporter Abby Hugo here, and she's going to discuss her story about Green Dot Week. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I wrote about Green Dot Week, and that is actually happening right now, and it is just a week hosted by Green Dot that pretty much raises awareness for their organization and their topic of violence prevention and bystander intervention.
Awesome. Now, how is there any events going on campus this week about Green Dot Week? Or?
Yeah, throughout the whole week, they're doing multiple things. They had a Snapchat contest happening all week. They had a luncheon with faculty. They had a social with the care organization, and they have Green Dot training this Saturday's kind of or this weekend. It's kind of their end of the week.
Awesome. Now, who all did you interview for this story?
I talked to Danielle Kuntz, who leads Green Dot, and got her kind of views on the event as a whole and why their organization is important. And then I also talked to a student who had done the Green Dot training before.
Oh, awesome. Now, did that student kind of go into depth more about how the Green Dot training works and everything?
I didn't get to me specific exactly. When I talked to Danielle Kuntz, she talked about how there's lots of different conversational things and activities and a little bit of everything. And then when I talked to the student, she just said that it was great and that she'd recommend that everyone do it.
Oh, awesome. Now, they're saying about 20 people to 30 people are expected to attend Saturday afternoon. It says, are you going to be there to cover it, or?
I don't believe that we will be able to do a follow-up on this event this week, but they have high hopes for it, and I hope that it goes really well.
Oh, awesome. Now, was this one of your stronger stories of the week, or was it?
This was my only story of the week, so I got to put all my focus on this and make sure it gets lots of quality quotes and interviews and represent the event well.
Oh, awesome. So, do you like covering more events that are if they're a week-long event, or do you like doing more of the events that just kind of happen one day?
I think both are. It's always super interesting to see any kind of different events that are going on around campus by lots of organizations. And I wasn't super familiar with Green Dot, and I understand a lot of other students probably aren't. So it was really nice to be able to cover their event this week.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Now, were you able to see any other organizations help partner with Green Dot or anything?
As I said, they did have a social with the care organization, which was just laid back opportunity for students to come. They talk with that organization too and see kind of how they can be involved in this in that organization or in the cause in general of violence prevention and such.
Gotcha. Well, awesome. I'm glad this story was good for you and sounds like a great week. Well, when we come back, James is going to come on. We're going to discuss Footloose. Welcome back. You're listening to Story Behind the Story on KZLX X106, and we're here live at the Student Union, and we aren't here with James, but we've got Sarah instead, and she's going to discuss her story about Footloose. So you were there to attend the musical and everything, weren't you?
Yes, I was able to attend on Saturday, which was the last night, because I was too busy on Thursday and Friday. But I was able to interview Dr. Kreisinger on Friday. So it was before the production. And I actually didn't end up using any of his quotes in my story, but I did end up interviewing him, and he gave a lot of insight. And there were reasons as to why I didn't choose Dr. Kreisinger, why I didn't put any of his quotes in. I know that a lot of other media people had taken it upon themselves to interview him too, and I felt like I'd give more perspective with different, with the other interviews I had gotten. And so obviously Footloose is based off of the hit movie, 1984 movie Footloose. But I would say that I like the production, the musical, better than the actual movie.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think was different between the two?
They gave a lot more a better characterization for the performers. Obviously you could see them live, and even if like you didn't know anything about the story, like if you hadn't ever watched any of the 2 like Footloose movies that are out there, like I don't know, it was more heart, I felt, and also the live music just really helped bring it up. So
That's awesome. Now, who all were you able to interview for this story?
I was able to interview one of the audience members who was sitting next to me. She was real helpful, gave me a lot of quotes. She actually, like in the story, I say that she came for her friends, but she had no previous experience knowing like about Footloose. So it was like a really good insight from her. And then I also interviewed 2 of the actors. One is someone who only has really performed in musicals. She is more like she was always kind of better in like dancing and singing, and like for her it was a lot harder to like memorize her lines. But for the other guy that I interviewed, I thought they were like a great balance between each other. He's been in a lot of plays. It's Sean Murphy Patrick. He's been in Still Life with Iris, Rumors, and he's just like, I've seen a few of his performances, and like I was like, I have to get like a great contrast for him. I actually got his interview over email because I like emailed him Sunday night, and I was like, oh hey, could I get a quick interview? And then he got back to me at like 2 o'clock in the morning, which I was like super surprised about, and then he gave me his answers by like 5. And I was like, do you sleep at all? But
I was gonna say, were you tired?
yeah,
by chance?
I was like, because I had fallen asleep after I sent out the email at 2, and then he's like sending it at 5, and I wasn't even awake. I was like, oh man, how'd you send that so soon? But yeah, like his responses were great because like he gave me like, when I do interviews over an email, I always worry about the responses being way too short. With him, it was actually kind of the opposite. I had to break up a lot of his quotes so that way, like, because we're not like supposed to have large chunks. But it was nice because he did give me a lot of insight, and I was able to break them up with like transition sentences, and it worked out really well because like he really did contrast the first girl because he had been in more plays, but this was his first musical.
Yeah.
And like it was a good. It's nice to think about the difference between a musical and a play. I know that we only do musicals biennial, so that was also nice to know. And like, I did interview Dr. Kreisinger. I actually interviewed him for like 30 minutes, and it was like so long. It was great talking to him.
Oh,
and
that's awesome, girl.
I actually feel. Yep.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, girl. And thanks for coming on with your story, and I'm glad you enjoyed Footloose. Well, that's all the time we have for this segment. Devin's going to come on, and we're going to talk about sports.
And welcome back into Story Behind the Story. I'm Devin Albertson here for KZLX and KNWT Channel 8, broadcasting live from the Student Union on Student Media Day. And I'm joined today by Chief Reporter Justin Quick in the Northwest Missourian. And Justin, your story this week is about the track and field team. They had a meet here last Thursday at Northwest against the Northern Sun Conference. Also, the MIAA schools were here. The girls did really well. They finished first, blowing out the competition. The men, they finished third. What did Scott Lorick say about the team performance last week in the track meet?
He was just really excited about the team performance overall. Talked to him a little bit Monday morning about the meet, and he said he saw this meet, this result kind of coming with the weather impacting a couple of their first few meets. He said he was just waiting for a day where they could get out, have some decent weather, and he knew something like this was bound to happen.
And of course, the girls, they won by a wide margin. Part of that's due to Audrey Wichman and Jordan Hammond both doing well in their events, making provisional marks on the women's side. Kind of talk about those two athletes and what they bring to the table for Scott Lorick and this track team, making provisional marks in the NCAA.
Well, they're both very versatile athletes. Hammond runs both of the hurdle races, the 100-meter and the 400-meter, and then she also does the relays. And Wichman, on the other hand, she's a little different. She's more of the jumping events, more into that kind of stuff, but she also does the multi-events, the heptathlon and the pentathlon indoors. But both of them just kind of bring a leadership role to the team. With Jordan being a sophomore, she's been to national meets before. She knows, how the meets work, and she's able to help her and Wichman are able to help the younger and less experienced members of the team be able to fit comfortably into the meet.
You talk about the younger members. There's a freshman, a triple jumper, and Mercedes Isaacson-Cover. She's a really good triple jumper. She was just a couple inches away from provisional mark there last Thursday. What'd she say about what she's going to try to build on going forward in the triple jump? I think she's shooting for 12 meters in the triple jump. She's a really good jumper.
Yeah, she's looking for 12 meters, which would be, easily get her into the provisional mark, which is 11.81 meters. But she said she's looking to just stretch those few centimeters she missed it. She missed it by 2 centimeters on Thursday, and she was really disappointed about that, but also really happy to see that, the first meet they got out had some decent weather. She was able to perform at such a good level. And obviously, Lorik said there's a lot of potential with her just being a freshman. She's not used to seeing that on the track team. They usually take a couple years to groom them. But she, coming in as a freshman, was able to just put on a great performance in her first year.
And then, of course, on the men's side, their high jumper, Kevin Schultz, he also hit provisional marks in the last meet. Kind of talk about what Kevin, what he brings to the men's side with his high jumping ability.
Well, Kevin is kind of the same deal as Audrey Wichman. He's does the multi-events. So Thursday, they weren't able to have those, so he did the high jump, and then he ran the 4x400, which was also, they took first in that too. So he's able to he was able to set the school record in indoor, jumping 6'11", and his goal for the year is to reach 7 foot, which would be the first 7-foot jumper in Northwest history. So he's really pushing forward to that. And he's able to just kind of help groom the younger high jumpers and teach them. He's been doing it for quite a while, since back in high school, so he's been doing it for a while, and he knows, the technique and really getting those little things down, like the footsteps, when to plant, when to go up. So he's really helping them teach that aspect to them.
And of course, all these athletes are going forward after last week's meet. What do they got coming up for the track team coming up? What did Scott Lorik say about the upcoming meets they have?
Well, they had 2 heptathlon athletes go to Wichita Tuesday and yesterday compete. Maya Ganter and Audrey Wichman. Wichman took 5th, but she did hit a provisional mark. So she's in that list for the heptathlon this year. And then Friday and Saturday, they'll have the regular meet out at Wichita State for all the other events, the regular, 100 up to the 5,000, and then the jumping events.
Okay.
And so they'll be switching the Nebraska Kearney meet for that, because it allowed them to get Audrey and Ganter out there for the multi-events.
And I'm sure at Wichita State they'll have a little bit of higher competition too, and force the athletes to raise their game up a little bit to fit with the competition around them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the meets they have, Division I schools there, which is nice for them to be able to kind of compete against those Division I schools and be able to get that competition level up.
Well, Justin, thank you for coming in. And before I sign off for a final time, I want to thank everybody who's helped produce this show on the TV side, and Clint and Andy and all the KNWT practicum students who came in and helped run the cameras. On the KZLX side, I want to thank Austin Hall, our board op, and also during breaks, our music girl, Kyrie's doing a great job over there on the music. And for the final time, Devin Albertson signing off for Story Behind the Story.